All right, today we're jumping into a really influential book, Malcolm Gladwell's Blink. We're going to break down the incredible power and the serious dangers of making those split-second snap judgments.
You know, the whole book really boils down to this one big question. That first impression, that gut feeling you get about someone, is it some kind of superpower, like your brain's secret supercomputer feeding you the right answer? Or is it actually a liability, just a hidden bias tricking you? That's what Gladwell's trying to figure out.
And to even begin to answer that, he has to start by challenging a belief that, let's be honest, most of us hold about how to make a good decision.
Think about it. We're always taught that to make a smart choice, you got to collect all the data, make your pro-con lists, and just think and think and think, right? Well, Gladwell comes in and says, nope. He argues that sometimes our best, most brilliant decisions happen in, well, the blink of an eye. He calls it rapid cognition, and here's the kicker. Sometimes it's actually more accurate than all that slow, careful thinking.
Okay, wait a second. How is that even possible? What's going on in our brains that lets us make these lightning-fast calls?
Gladwell gives it a name, the adaptive unconscious. The best way to picture it is like a super powerful computer that's always running in the background of your mind. It's crunching numbers and data at an insane speed. But here's the thing. The door to that computer room, it's locked. So you get the final printout, that gut feeling, that hunch, but you have no idea what calculations it ran to get there. You can't explain how you know, you just know.
So, what's the main software this supercomputer is running? Gladwell calls it thin slicing, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's this incredible ability our brain has to take just a tiny, thin slice of an experience, literally a couple seconds of a conversation or one quick look at something, and find the real meaningful pattern hiding inside it.
Okay, let's get into some real-world examples, because when this thin slicing thing works, the results are, well, they're kind of mind-blowing.
So get this. There's this psychologist, John Gottman, and he has what's called a love lab. He watches a married couple talk for just a few minutes. That's it. And by thin slicing their interaction for key emotions, especially contempt, he can predict with 90% accuracy if they're gonna get a divorce. That is just staggering. He doesn't need to hear their whole life story, just that one little slice is enough.
Or how about this one? This is a great story. The Getty Museum buys this ancient Greek statue for millions of dollars. They did all the scientific tests for years and everything said, yep, it's authentic. But then a bunch of top art experts come to see it, and one by one they take one look and they just get this weird feeling. One of them called it an intuitive repulsion. Their brains in a split-second thin sliced decades of looking at art and just knew something was wrong, and guess what? They were right. It was a fake. Their gut beat the science.
But, and this is a really big but, this is where the book takes a critical turn. Because this amazing power we have, it has a dark side, a huge vulnerability. It can be hijacked by something much, much more dangerous than just being wrong.
Gladwell's prime example of this is what he calls the Warren Harding era. So, back in the 1920s, this guy, Warren Harding, gets elected president. And a big reason why, he just looked the part. He was tall, he was handsome, he just looked like a president. So voters thin-sliced his appearance and thought, yeah, that's our guy. You can totally see how this still happens today, right? In politics, in job interviews. But the reality, his presidency was an absolute train wreck. I mean, he's consistently ranked as one of the worst presidents in U.S. history.
And here is the absolute key takeaway. That snap judgment about Harding, that wasn't real intuition. It was prejudice. Plain and simple. It was prejudice disguised as a gut feeling. People's unconscious minds weren't actually analyzing his ability to lead. They were just defaulting to a really simple and really harmful stereotype of what a leader is supposed to look like.
So this is how it all goes wrong. Our brain is lazy, you know? It's always looking for a shortcut. And the easiest shortcuts are stereotypes about race, gender, how someone looks. And here's the really scary part. Things like the implicit association test show that even if you consciously, with all your heart, believe in equality, you can still have these hidden biases. And those biases can totally corrupt your split-second decisions without you even having a clue it's happening.
Okay, so where does all this leave us? This really gets to the complicated legacy of Blink, and honestly, the most important takeaway for every single one of us.
You see, a big critique of the book is that it makes intuition sound so cool, so seductive, that we might just start trusting every gut feeling we have. But think back to those experts, the art historians, and Dr. Gottman. They didn't just have random intuition. They had calibrated intuition.
They spent years, even decades, training their unconscious minds. They taught them which patterns matter. If you don't do that work, that calibration, you're not acting on expertise. You're just acting on prejudice.
And this quote right here, it just nails the core problem. Our unconscious brain is a pattern-matching machine. It loves stuff it's seen before. But when it comes across something or someone totally new, something that doesn't fit the old patterns, it kind of panics. It gets confused. And when it panics, it falls back on the oldest, easiest, and often most dangerous stereotypes it knows.
So in the end, Blink doesn't tell us to ignore our intuition. Not at all. It leaves us with a challenge. It's asking us to respect our gut feelings, but also to understand where they can go wrong. And, most importantly, to do the hard work of training them. Because that power of thinking without thinking, well, it's only as good as all the thinking you've done to prepare for it.